What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem?
Someone killed my parents.
Pardon me?
Someone killed my parents.
What? Who? Are they still there?
Yes.
The people... What?
No.
Were they shot?
Hey, man,
Were they shot?
Yes.
They were shot?
Yes.
What happened? I have a hysterical person on. We're trying to get things further. Other units responding. Is the person still there?
What happened? We have units around. What happened? Who shot who? You came home and found who shot?
Mom and Dad.
You know if they're still in the house, the people that did the shooting.
Get away from me.
Okay. Let me talk to Eric. Who is the person that was shot?
My mom and my dad.
Your mom and dad?
My mom and my dad.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, we're on our way over there with an ambulance.
Okay, I gotta go.
Okay.
Oh.
Hello, this is the police department.
Yes.
Okay, I want you to come outside. Okay, please come out the front door.
I never seen my brother.
Lieutenant Robert Curtis, C-U-R-T-I-S. At about 11:47 p.m. on Sunday evening, the 20th, we received an emergency call on our 911 lines. It was a hysterical male reporting that there had been a shooting at his residence, at 722 North Elm. Our officers responded in approximately 1 minute, and when they did arrive, they did in fact confirm that there had been an apparent shooting, and there were two people inside the location that appeared to be deceased and were in fact deceased. They checked the location for any other suspects or other victims and have not found any. The two people who were there was a male and a female. And right now our homicide detectives and our lab people are at the location and they're conducting their investigation.
I've been in this business for over 33 years, and I've heard of very few murders that were more savage than this one was.
It sounded like...
They were ordering the occupants out of the house, which was Lyle and Eric, and they came running out of the house extremely despondent and carrying and crying and yelling and that kind of stuff.
I could see that someone was kind of in a little ball, screaming and crying, and just horrible, horrible sounds, truthfully.
I've never seen anything like it. Never will see anything like it. Probably the hardest thing I'll probably ever have to. They weren't real. They didn't look real. They wax. They look like wax. It's something that I've never seen my dad help us.
5 blasts from a 12-gauge shotgun hit Jose Menendez, including a contact wound that leaves a grapefruit-sized hole in the back of his head. Kitty Menendez is torn apart by 9 shots.
Police in Beverly Hills, California, are investigating the shooting deaths of an entertainment company executive and his wife. The bodies of Jose and Kitty Menendez were found at their home late Sunday night. The brothers tell
police they've discovered their parents' bodies after returning home from seeing the latest James Bond thriller, License to Kill.
It was said that Jose Enrique Menendez could be charming, but he was abusive to their mother as well as them. Jose was described as someone who should be feared, and that he was always expecting perfection but never got it. He was born on May 6, 1944 in Havana, Cuba, during World War II and the Batista regime, which was marred by growing corruption and inequality. 1 in 3 Cubans lived in poverty, America controlled the economy, and the world of organized crime deepened with Batista's support. Jose's father was also named Jose, and was a well-known soccer player and owned his own accounting firm. His mother was named Maria and was a swimmer that was elected to the Cuban Sports Hall of Fame. They were a very rich and aristocratic family that frequented the country club until Castro came to power at the end of the Cuban Revolution in 1959. Then most of his family allegedly died in prison or otherwise by violence. Also in 1959, Jose moved to the United States. His mother adored him and doted on him, and some people said that is why in Cuba he was known to be a bully. It was hard for his parents to control him, and he was sent off to the United States when he was 16 years old. He flew with his sister's fiancé to live with a cousin in Pennsylvania. This part in the story is where some have theorized that Jose began working for the CIA. At the time when Jose left Cuba, no one was allegedly allowed to leave unless they had permission from the United States Navy and Marines. So allegedly he was spirited away under CIA-endorsed approval. Now I don't know if I believe if Jose was a CIA operative or not, but I like to leave no stone unturned if I can help it when presenting a story. Jose was a high achiever, but could not afford to attend an Ivy League college, so he attended Southern Illinois University in Carbondale. While attending SIU, Jose met Mary Louise Kitty Anderson. Kitty was born on October 14, 1941 in Oak Lawn, Cook County, Illinois to Charles and May. Charles owned Oak Lawn Heating and Air Conditioning Company and provided well for the family. He was also a member of the Masonic Oak Lodge 1166 and the Medina Temple. When Kitty entered grammar school, her father left the family to marry another woman, and in order to support the family, her mother went to work for United Airlines at Midway Airport outside Chicago. Allegedly, Kitty's parents' divorce was hostile, and this left her withdrawn and often depressed while growing up, and she would have nothing to do with her father. While attending Southern Illinois University, Kitty worked in the school's broadcasting department, where she learned to produce dramas for radio and television. Kitty met Jose in 1962 while she was a senior at SIU, and he was a freshman who was 3 years younger than her. In 1963, after Kitty received her BS degree in communications, they eloped and moved to New York City, where Jose obtained an athletic scholarship at Queens College. While in New York, Kitty found work teaching grade school, and Jose washed dishes at the Manhattan Restaurant 21 during the day, while attending classes at night. It was said that Jose disliked washing dishes very much and thought it was beneath him. Jose graduated in 1967 with a degree in accounting. After, he was hired as an auditor on the Lyons Container Corporation account and the Hertz account for Coopers and Linebrand International, which was one of the top CPA firms in the world. This is where more of the conspiracy theory of Jose being a CIA operative comes in. They allegedly started him out at $25,000 a year, which was double the salary of a starting staff accountant with no previous experience. Also, allegedly, Lyons Container Corporation was CIA controlled. Kitty wanted to be an actress, but when Joseph Lyle, who goes by his middle name, was born on January 10, 1968, Jose demanded Kitty quit her job to stay home and take care of their child. Jose then allegedly quit Coopers and Linebrand to be a controller for Lyons Container, and then within a year became the president of the company at age 24. Jose and Kitty moved to New Jersey, where Eric Galen was born on November 27, 1970. In Gloucestershire Township, the family lived in a moderately sized Tudor-style home with a well-used backyard tennis court tucked above the neighbor's artificial lake on West Shore Drive in the Elm Ridge Park section of Hopeville Township. Jose's sister and her family and Jose's mother had also settled in the Princeton area. Both brothers attended Princeton Day School. The boys were said to be extremely spoiled. They had limo rides to school, and their parents even did their homework. And with the parents doing their homework, the boys wouldn't do so well on tests. Allegedly, Kitty would get frustrated with Eric while helping him with his homework and would hit him. Jose and Kitty allegedly had a tight hold on the boys. They would tell them who they could date and who they could be friends with. Lyle was described as a nice guy who had charm, was funny and charismatic. He was characterized as his father's son, and like his father seemed to have foregone close male companionship for romantic relationships. In high school, he and his girlfriend were voted most married, and later, as a freshman student at Princeton, became engaged to a girl 4 years senior. Those who knew Eric say that he was pretty ostentatious and flamboyant, but well-liked. He wanted what he wanted and usually would find a way to get it. Lyle and Eric were active in sports, including soccer, swimming, and tennis. Kitty was said to have been a loving and attentive mother in public. She managed the house, the boys' tennis, played a little herself at Benton's Brook Country Club, ran a free morning exercise class for neighborhood friends, and volunteered on various tennis projects. Meanwhile, Jose climbed the corporate ladder. He began with Hertz, rent-a-car subsidiary of RCA, and quickly became their number 2 man. Back to more of the CIA conspiracy. RCA allegedly was a contractor for the military, and to some, this is why Jose moved through the company so fast. One more thing before I get back to the story. I was wondering if O.J. Simpson knew Jose. I found out while researching this case that he in fact did know the Menendez family. In the mid-1970s, Jose was the chief financial officer and general manager at the time. He was the one who signed O.J. to an advertising contract with the firm. The company was heading into heavy advertising at the time, and they had this idea of having a sports hero do it. Even though the Menendez brothers were young when they met O.J. for the first time, Lyle still remembered tossing footballs with O.J. when he came over to the family home and signed the footballs he gave them. Lyle would also later recall running into O.J. in 1989 at a trendy LA restaurant with several of his teammates on the tennis team from Princeton University. Around 1974, Jose began rigorously training a 6-year-old Lyle in swimming. They would train about an hour a day. Lyle claimed that sometimes it was fun, but it was usually overshadowed by his father holding him underwater until he fought to be let up for air. Jose also made Lyle swim numerous laps and would sometimes yank him out of the water by his hair. This training would continue until Lyle was 10 years old. Lyle also played soccer, and his father was highly involved with that as well. Jose would be domineering and bark orders from the sidelines, and sometimes he would even come onto the field. He always wanted Lyle to go for the ball no matter what. Jose didn't let Lyle be friends with any of his teammates or even really let him converse with them. He thought that if Lyle became friends with other players, he wouldn't be competitive. The boys were asked to pick a sport and really focus on it. Lyle and Eric chose tennis. Lyle had started playing tennis when he was 6 years old, and by the time he was 13, he played tennis 40 to 45 hours a week, plus his regular schoolwork. Jose was very controlling with his sport as well. He didn't know much about tennis, so he studied videos and read books so he could coach the boys. Tennis rules prohibited any coaching once a match is underway, but Jose would always break the rules and subtly coach by using hand gestures. The officials always suspected Jose but were powerless to act. On the court, the boys were labeled as bad actors and would frequently get engaged in on-court disputes, and to be regular recipients of conduct warnings. With Jose spending all of his free time coaching, it was said that Kitty would act very resentful, especially towards Lyle, and she would lash out at him verbally and physically. According to Lyle, a frequent punishment would be making him lay under her bed all day. She would also make him sit in his room all day and give him a Tupperware container to use the bathroom in. It was also said that Jose would physically, sexually, and verbally abuse Lyle too. Jose punched him in the stomach and would make fun of the way he walked, quacking behind him, and sometimes getting Eric to join in. Jose would also make fun of the way Lyle talked, especially when he stuttered. Lyle was extremely damaged by all of this, and had a problem with bedwetting until he was 14 years old, which Jose would allegedly beat him for. He would also call Lyle a sissy, just like Eric. In the summer of 1976, Lyle and Eric's cousin, Diane Vander Molen, came to stay with them. Lyle confessed to her that he was being sexually abused by his father. Diane told Kitty what Lyle had said, but she said that he was lying, and that was the end of that. So I have to stop right here a minute and say something. There are rumors that Jose himself was molested as a child, and some people believe that is why he allegedly molested Lyle. Sure, some people can be at greater risk of doing it if that has happened to them, but in my opinion, I don't really think it's justification for it. Also in 1976 is when, allegedly, Jose started sexually abusing a 6-year-old Eric. By the 1980s, Jose became head of RCA Records and was allegedly earning $50,000 a month, which was allegedly 50% more than the colonels in the U.S. Army at the time. Jose signed famous groups like the Rhythmics, Duran Duran and Menudo, and was in charge of building up the label's Latin music line. Jose and Kitty were regulars at the Grammy Awards. In 1986, Lyle graduated from Princeton Day School, and despite his massive amount of speeding tickets and the various occasions that his driver's license was suspended, his parents bought him a new Alfa Romeo Spider for his graduation. Also in 1986, Jose left RCA and landed at the independent film company Caracol Pictures, which produced the Rambo big screen franchise. They allegedly matched Jose's $50,000 a month with a possible $500,000 bonus a year, as well as paying a $5,000 life insurance on his family. Allegedly, Jose never took the physical or the life insurance policy, so it was never valid. Carolco Pictures is alleged by some to be ran by the CIA and was in the porn business. They bought a $15 million life insurance policy on Jose. Beneficiaries were Bankers Trust Co. of New York, which was allegedly a CIA bank, and European-based Credit Lyonnais Bank, Netherlands. Jose did allegedly take the physical for this policy, so it was activated. While at Carolco Pictures, Jose oversaw the dramatic turnaround of International Video Entertainment Inc., which had been failing until Jose got his hands on it. Carolco had purchased IVE that year from Noel C. Bloom, who had started his video empire as a purveyor of sexually explicit cassettes and gradually branched into other lines. In 1987, Jose became involved in litigation when Bloom sued Carolco in Los Angeles Superior Court and charged that he had blocked him from acquiring rights from Hasbro to a children's film called G.I. Joe the Movie. Jose later would be found guilty of highly inappropriate conduct and a squeeze play in trying to reduce his own verbal deal. Lyle enrolled in the fall of 1987 at Princeton University. He was a pretty good tennis player, and that with the $50,000 donation that his father gave to Princeton, he was actually able to attend the school. Also in 1987, Jose and his family moved to Calabasas, California. Once in Calabasas, Lyle and Eric started hanging around with a group of friends that started doing hot prowls. A hot prowl is where they would sneak into the house and not steal anything. The hot prowling eventually turned into burglary when Lyle and some of those friends began stealing from houses. Lyle showed Eric what he had done, and so Eric followed suit, but then wanted to put it back before anyone found out. In the first burglary, over $100,000 worth of items were stolen. They were finally caught and arrested. In an attempt to keep the story out of the papers and the boys out of jail, Jose made a deal with the district attorney. Jose went to each house that was burglarized and paid the owners for what was stolen. Jose also had Eric plead guilty to the charges, and he would get probation and also would have to see a psychologist for 3 months. Lyle wasn't charged in the incident at all. After all, he was supposed to be Jose's golden child. It was said that Jose was more upset about his sons getting caught than committing the crime. The boys were also put on probation, and then the family moved to Beverly Hills on North Elm into a mansion once owned by Elton John and Prince. Another conspiracy theory out there is the Menendez family's new residence was another CIA-controlled property. In the end, Lyle was flunking out of Princeton and also was suspended for a year for plagiarizing a paper. While on suspension, Lyle accompanied his girlfriend to Europe while she was playing in international tennis tournaments. Jose didn't like Lyle's girlfriend, and that's because she is a waitress to pay for college. Kitty allegedly became concerned about Lyle and his lack of responsibility, and that he seemed like he felt like he could get away with anything, whether it was ethical or not. Kitty and Jose ended up taking Lyle's credit cards away, which made Lyle upset, so he stole their credit cards and ended up buying what he wanted to anyway. Kitty wasn't just concerned about her kids, she was also concerned about her marriage as well. She had found out that Jose had been having an affair for 8 years with a woman in New York. Kitty allegedly confronted the mistress. Besides the mistress in New York, Jose had one in LA, as well as being supplied prostitutes by a madam. Kitty was worried that Jose was going to leave her. Kitty tried to put on a brave front in public, but in private she coped with her problems by consuming increasing amounts of alcohol and prescription pills. In 1987, she attempted suicide, ingesting a bottle of Valium. She recovered, but she and Jose continued to have marital problems, and the relationship with their sons became increasingly strained. At one point, she allegedly told Jose's sister that she wished that her sons had never been born. Jose wasn't happy with his sons either. He had allegedly told his brother-in-law that he was disappointed in them and was thinking of taking them out of his will. Kitty was also thinking about taking the boys out of their will. She was typing on her computer when a friend stopped by. When her friend asked what she was doing, Kitty informed her that she was changing her will. The friend warned Kitty that Lyle could hear her. Kitty allegedly told her friend that she didn't care because the boys knew that she wasn't going to leave them money anyway. The following year, Eric attended Beverly Hills High School, where he earned average grades but displayed a remarkable talent for tennis, ranking 44th in the U.S. as a junior. Eric also wrote a 66-page screenplay with his new friend, Craig Signorelli. The screenplay was about 18-year-old Hamilton Cromwell, who murders his wealthy parents, plus 3 others, before being gunned down by a friend. Kitty even helped type the manuscript.
In fact, I'm writing a script right now.
Also in 1988, Lyle returned from Europe and began a routine of tennis workouts and working days at Live, Jose's entertainment company, before returning to Princeton for the second semester. In spring of 1989, Lyle returned to Princeton for the second semester. He turned his dorm room into a single room by simply moving another student's belongings out. Lyle's girlfriend became a regular visitor to his newly acquired private room. Also in 1989, Eric graduated high school in June. He had been ecstatic because to him that meant one step closer to freedom from his father. However, Eric claimed that his hopes were dashed a couple months later on August 13th. He said that his dad sat him down and informed him that he would be staying home several nights a week and wouldn't be staying in the freshman dorm very much. Eric said that he was very upset, so he began packing some clothes. That is when his mother came in and asked him what he was doing. He told her that he was going to stay at a friend's house for a few days. Allegedly, an argument ensued between Eric and his mom, and she told him he wasn't going anywhere. Kitty left, and a few minutes later, Jose burst into Eric's room furious. He held up Eric against the window with his arm against his neck and told him he wasn't going anywhere. 2 days later, on August 15th, 1989, allegedly Lyle and Kitty were having an argument. Kitty became so enraged that she began striking Lyle and then ripped off his toupee, the toupee that Jose had forced him to wear because he had thinning hair. Eric claimed that he witnessed this happen and it made him upset. Eric then told Lyle that his dad had been molesting him. Lyle then told Eric it would never happen again.